Once again, back, it's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game Podcast. I'm rapper turned dating coach Dale Valor, your inner game wingman. Listen, here's the deal. If you're new to this podcast, what we're talking about is inner game. What is inner game? Inner game is the relationship that you have with you. If all the other relationships in your life are suffering, in large part, and usually it's due to the relationship that you have with you sucks, right? So if you don't like yourself, how can you expect anybody else to either? So here's the deal, man. We're going to go deep on so many inner game concepts in this podcast. I really am glad that you're here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're a long timer, welcome back. And let's hop in.
We're going to go to Title 8 to find out what the definition of naturalization is. We're obviously, because it's aliens and nationality. That's the title, right? So 8 USC 1101. We're going to go down to subsection A23. And we're going to find out what is the definition of naturalization. Let me see here. Cornell. I want Cornell. There it is. Subsection A23. The term naturalization, and we're gonna really break this definition down a lot because it's one of the most important definitions in literally all of law and taxation. The term naturalization means the conferring of nationality of a state upon a person after birth by any means whatsoever. Now we're going to break this whole thing down. The word conferring, they're not referring to the legal definition. They're referring to the normal dictionary definition on this one. That means just like bestowing a characteristic or bestowing some kind of quality to it, right? Nationality and the word state, this is actually pretty easy to understand. So if we go back to 28 USC 3002, subsection 15, the definition of United States, you'll see here that the word federal is capitalized, and you'll see here that the word states and state is capitalized as well, right?
Yeah.
Now, they never actually defined this. You have to really dig a lot to figure out what that means in law, because if you look at this section of naturalization, the word state is not capitalized, but when you click on it, it goes to the capital letter word definition. So they actually do not define what the lowercase s actually means, and there's a reason for that. So what happened was, in order to gain jurisdiction over the 50 states of the Union, what the private for-profit federal corporation, the foreign federal corporation called United States, did was they opened up 50 subcorporations. All the subcorporations are called State of California, State of Utah, State of Nevada, State of Texas, State of New York. All of those corporate incorporated versions of the states are all physically located in the District of Columbia only.
Man, this is crazy.
So the way it works is when you see the lowercase s, they're referring to a non-incorporated state that's not located in the District of Columbia.
Okay.
When you see the uppercase s, they're referring to an incorporated version of the states that are located in the District of Columbia. And this gets crazier because even Canada is literally an incorporated element that is physically located in the District of Columbia. There's two different Canadas. There's two different United States. There's two different State of Californias. There's two different everything. There's an incorporated version that's physically located inside the District of Columbia. And then there's a non-incorporated version, which is located where you think it's actually located.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Which is totally fucking insane. So when you look at the term naturalization, what it's saying here is the conferring of nationality of a state, and it's using the lowercase s, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we start to dig into this more, it gets really, really, really fascinating. And the reason why is because what is a state? What is a nation? Because nationality is the word nation with ality at the end of it, right? So In order to figure out what a nation was, I went on kind of a little bit of a research project, and a lot of it went in circles, as you can see, because we have the term body politic, we have the term society, and we have the word state.
Yeah.
Body politic means state or nation or public association. Society means an association or company of persons, generally unincorporated, united together by mutual consent in order to deliberate, determine, and act jointly for some common purpose. In a wider sense, the community or public, the people in general. The term state, scroll down a bit and find that. In its largest sense, a state is a body politic or society of men. So I was like, these definitions are all going in fucking circles. What is the definition? What is it? What is it? Right? So I was digging and I found this court case where they dug into this in great detail. And this is by far the best definition I've ever found. Now, I apply this definition to all of these terms: state, nation, society, body politic. I feel like this is the greatest explanation. And this is a quote from a court case. And the guy says, what is a nation? A nation is an independent body politic, a society of men united together for the purpose of promoting their mutual safety and advantage by the joint efforts of their combined strength. But every combination of men who govern themselves independently of all others will not be considered a nation. A body of pirates, for example, who govern themselves are not a nation. To constitute a nation, another ingredient is required. The body thus formed must respect other nations in general and each of their members in particular. Such a society has her affairs and her interests. She deliberates and takes resolutions in common, thus becoming a moral person who possesses an understanding and will peculiar to herself and is susceptible to obligations and rights. So as you can see, the term nation or the term society or the term state or the term body politic has absolutely nothing to do with a territorial location.
Right.
It has to do with a body of individuals that are operating together as a unit. They have good tranquility, respect, and interactivity internally, and then they have great tranquility, respect, and appreciation and helpfulness externally.
Okay.
That's the definition of a nation. And if a group is governing themselves and they're going around and pillaging like a pirate, they lose the right to call themselves a nation. But again, it has nothing to do with location. Okay. So the word Jew, if you were to say a Jew, Jewish, you could actually say that Jewish is actually a nation, the Jewish nation. Right. Now you would say, oh, that's located in Israel. Well, hold on a second. Not exclusively. It doesn't need to have a location. Right. So the thing is that if we go back now to the term naturalization, we reread it again, it's going to make more sense. Now, keep in mind, again, the word person means an individual or an organization. Like we covered earlier, it could be a trust, it could be a corporation, it could be anything, right? Mm-hmm. And now we're going to reread this again. Now it's going to make sense. The term naturalization means the conferring of nationality of a lowercase s state upon a person after birth by any means whatsoever. That last part is probably the most important part of all. Okay. Now what that means you as a natural person have a nationality. You can change or adjust that nationality whenever you want. You also have a public corporation of your name in all capital letters, which is also a person. You can also change the nationality of that public corporation whenever you want. When you change the nationality of yourself or the public corporation, that process is called naturalization. And it's the easiest thing in the world to do. And it's covered in the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, Section 2. So you go to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from the UN, United Nations, right? Hilarious, right? Article 15, Section 2. This is very, very clear. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his nationality nor denied the right to change his nationality. So what that means is you can change your nationality to whatever you want. You can actually make up your own name for a nation because your friends are a nation, your podcast is a nation, Modern Success is a nation, you and your home life, if you have a family, that's a nation by definition. As long as you have good relations within the group and without the group. For example, let's say you have a really, really toxic marriage. It's toxic internally and it's toxic externally. You, in that situation, you do not have the privilege of calling that group a nation. So you would not be able to naturalize and say that you are that nation, because that does not constitute the definition of what a nation is. It's physically impossible. It would actually be illegal, not illegal, but it's you're calling something a nation of which it is not, right?
Okay.
So nationality is nation with the extension ality. So it's simply just the connectivity or the being inside of or the being a part of, in some probably official capacity, a nation. And you can change that nationality or those nations or nation anytime you want by any means whatsoever. So what happens is every single time you fill out voter registration, every single time you fill out a W-9 tax form, every single time you go and get your driver's license renewed, every single time you go and get a passport, they ask you a question. Are you a U.S. citizen? When you click yes, you're actually naturalizing into the District of Columbia.
Wow. That's
okay. That makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, it's like fucked up.
So even in Belgium, the IRS is actually the tax authority now in Belgium. The reason why is because Belgium is an incorporation now. They incorporated it. That corporation is located in the District of Columbia. If they ask you if you're a U.S. citizen and you say yes, like that's all it takes. You just naturalize into the District of Columbia. So state of California is in the District of Columbia as well. So if you state, like, for example, voter registration, if we were to go to California voter registration, and we have the online voter registration system, right? Yeah. So register to vote, right? Now look at all the options that you have when you're registering to vote. Look at the first few words of every single line.
Yeah.
So basically every single one of these naturalizes you into the District of Columbia.
So, okay. Now, like this stuff is super deep, like what I'm understanding, at least the way that I'm interpreting a lot of this, and I got this kind of like a two-part question, I suppose. But firstly, the way with how you're breaking it down and everything, and this is not to like sound condescending or anything like that. But what I'm seeing is kind of like a lot of like wording loopholes.
Wordplay, okay? Yeah.
Like, do you find that because of the way that language and verbiage kind of evolve over time, that it changes the definition to a degree? Much like, like the word gay now means something completely different than what it meant 100 years ago.
The answer to that is no. That all of this is very, 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 very carefully constructed. And I can show you the next part of this presentation, which I think will clean up a lot of what you're saying right now. I think it'll make more sense. So if we go back to, let's say we pull up an I-9 form. Everyone's filled out one of these, right? This is pretty shocking. Okay. So the I-9 form is the employment eligibility form. You guys have all seen this, right? Everyone's filled one of these out.
I don't know. I doubt Shabam has, but
that's true. That's true. So if you look at the main section here, okay, this is the one that everyone fills out. Check one of the following boxes to attest your citizenship or immigration status, right? Mm-hmm. Box number 1 is a citizen of the United States. Box number 2, a non-citizen national of the United States. Now, if we go back to 8 U.S.C. 1101 subsection 23, where we found the word naturalization, and we scroll up just a little bit to spot number 21, the term national means a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. The state is lowercase. So if you click on the word permanent, because we have another word here that we don't know the definition for, we have to make sure we know the definitions of all the words. It comes up and it says the term permanent means a relationship of continuing or lasting nature as distinguished from temporary. But a relationship may be permanent even though it is one that may be dissolved eventually at the instance of either the United States or of the individual in accordance with law. So permanent really means nothing. This is how American law is. I'm sure it's like this in a lot of countries. It's so convoluted. They add in words that make you think something, but then they give it a definition that's something completely different, hoping you never look at it. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we reread the term national, we can literally just remove that term permanent from the definition entirely. It is completely off-putting. Yeah. The term national means a person owing allegiance to a state. It's that simple. Yeah. And the word allegiance is, you can use the normal definition or the legal definition. Either one will fit there. And the word state, they're referring to non-incorporated, right? So what they're saying here is that a U.S. citizen lives in the District of Columbia. A national or non-citizen national lives in one of the 50 unincorporated states of the Union. And I can show you even more evidence on that. If we go to 28 USC 1746, we can look at this one. And then we're also going to look at, I think it's 8 USC 1401. So 8 USC 1401 talks about nationality versus citizenship, right? And it says here, the following shall be nationals and citizens of the United States at birth. And it has a list. So what happens is that anyone who's actually born in America at all, is almost everyone is both a national and a citizen at the same time. Okay. You have nationality and you have citizenship, right? Okay. But what's fascinating is through the process of naturalization, you can retain your nationality and you can actually get rid of your citizenship. And that process is actually called expatriation. And you can find the definition of expatriation in the tax code, Title 26 USC Section 877A. We're going to scroll all the way down to the definition of expatriation. Expatriate. We just need section 1 on this. Expatriate. The term expatriate means any United States citizen who relinquishes his citizenship, right? So what you're saying is you're saying, I don't live in the District of Columbia. I don't have any contracts with the District of Columbia. I'm not involved in the District of Columbia. I don't want to be contracted with the District of Columbia. And you completely disconnect from the District of Columbia by expatriating your citizenship, but retaining your nationality. So you've heard this term renunciation, especially during COVID and with the Biden administration. A lot of people are renouncing their citizenship by going down to the embassy, signing the form, putting up the thing, having the oath to like completely remove themselves. Now I don't recommend that people do that, because renunciation is removal of both citizenship and nationality. Expatriation is the elimination of citizenship and retaining your nationality as a non-citizen national of the United States. A non-citizen national of the United States is basically disconnecting from the corporate world entirely, the commercial world of the District of Columbia. And they're saying, I exist solely and only in the non-incorporated nation state of the actual state of California, which original name for California was called the California Republic.
Right.
So I would never sign a document stating that I live in state of California. I would cross that out, and I would put California Republic above it.
And that would make a difference just by crossing that out?
It's two entirely different worlds. It's two entirely different universes. It's two entirely different countries.
Basically, it's different laws, essentially, right? Because the normal laws won't apply to you because you're not technically a part of the system.
Well, yes, there's a very small handful of codes in the United States Code, and we can cover that if you want, that covers how the foreign for-profit federal corporation views non-citizen nationals. And what's funny is they view us as basically like original Americans. Like, for example, a non-citizen national is an actual American. A U.S. citizen is actually not an American at all, legally. And I can actually prove that here. This is a really fascinating area right here. 28 USC 1746, talking about unsworn declarations under penalty of perjury. The way that you sign affidavits in law is actually found in this section, right? And it says here, if executed without the United States, meaning outside of the federal corporation, the way that you're supposed to attest to affidavits and documents, you're supposed to say, I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America. These are two entirely different countries. United States is the District of Columbia, Guam, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, I believe, and the U.S. territories. You've heard that term before?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Territory.
So that's the United States, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. territories.
Okay,
that's a whole separate country. Okay, and then the other totally separate country is the United States of America. The United States of America is the 50 states of the Union, the independent, unincorporated nation states.
I got you.
The sheriff's office is the police force, the law enforcement force for non-citizen national, the unincorporated side. The police force is the police force for the corporate side, the U.S. citizen side. Everything's split into twos. If you notice, everything's in twos, everything's in twos, everything's in twos, everything's in twos. The reason why is because even the word CPA, certified public accountant, people don't realize there's also certified private accountants, because the word public infers the District of Columbia. The word private is without the District of Columbia. So everything's in twos, everything's in twos, everything's in twos, including even the real estate market. That's also in twos. Everything's in twos, right?
Right.
So a guarantor deed or a quitclaim deed, both of those types of deeds are actually commercial deeds that are located in the District of Columbia. A land patent deed, which is something that most people in real estate have never even heard of, is actually a non-incorporated original United States of America land deed. If you have a land patent deed, you don't pay real estate taxes. If you have a quitclaim deed or a guarantor deed, you do pay real estate taxes because your property is actually considered to be physically located in the District of Columbia.
Man, that's insane. Okay, like we do got to wrap up here before too long. But the one question I have, man, is, all right, again, this is like drinking from a fire hose type stuff, you know? And
are you guys following me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got you. But I guess where I'm going with this is, how do you take this information for practical everyday use? You know what I mean?
You have to understand it first in great detail. You really have to be able to piece it all together. When you piece it together, you realize that you're actually two different persons in law. Okay. You have the public corporation, which is located in the District of Columbia, and then you have you as a natural person, right? Now, when you understand that, in the tax world, the way that taxes work is that the word taxpayer, which, I can just clean that up real quick. We can go super fast. Title 26, Section 7701, subsection 14. Is the definition of taxpayer. The term taxpayer means any person subject to any internal revenue tax. Now, again, it's very confusing because you got to keep in mind person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, estate, partnership, association, company, or corporation. The public corporation is a taxpayer. The natural person is not a taxpayer. So is your job paying the public corporation the wages? Or is the job paying the natural person the wages, right? If the job is paying the public corporation wages, you would fill out a W-9 tax form. Because on the W-9 tax form, it makes you attest that you are a U.S. citizen or other U.S. person, meaning that you live in the District of Columbia, Section 3. I am a U.S. citizen or other U.S. person. Signature of U.S. person. You have to be located in the District of Columbia to sign this document. Now, the opposing form that you would use if you were getting paid as a natural person is you would use the W-8 BEN form.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, so this is a foreign beneficiary form. Oh. You are located in a foreign country from United States. You're located in the United States of America, which is a foreign country. India is just as foreign to United States as the United States of America is. Yep. When you fill out a W-8 BEN tax form, and you also need to update your I-9 form, so you hand your employer a filled out W-8 BEN, and you also hand them an I-9, and you check a non-citizen national of the United States on your I-9 form, you are now officially a foreign beneficiary of the entire government.
But if you walked into, your employer, right? Maybe I got a job at, the Ford factory or whatever, the Ford plant. And I go in there and I'm like, yeah, this is what I got for you. It's this form here. They're going to look at you like you're crazy, and like, how would you state your case? Now, and I don't mean you specifically, because obviously you know what the fuck you're talking about, but your normal average everyday person isn't remotely tuned into this. You know what I mean? So now somebody listening to this podcast, they're like, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And they go in there and you got the manager looking at them like, are you insane? Like, what is this? No, fill out the right one. You know what I mean? Like, how does a person, I guess, be assertive enough or be able to take the mantle and say, no, this is actually it? Because you'd have to, I feel like you would have to convince everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the answer to your question requires that we look at a different area in the tax structure for just 1 second. We're going to look at 26 Code of Federal Regulations, section 601.602. This is the area where it says here, the tax system is based on voluntary compliance. So the thing is that what people don't realize is that the reason why the IRS never tells you how much you owe, and you always tell the IRS how much you owe, is because the 13th and the 14th Amendment illegalized involuntary servitude in America. But voluntary servitude was never made illegal. The tax system has to be voluntary. It cannot be involuntary, right? It physically, legally cannot be involuntary. So what happens is that when you submit tax forms, the employer, it's actually highly, highly, highly illegal. You can actually hit them with involuntary servitude, Title 18. You can actually, Title 18 is the section that goes into crimes and criminal penalties, right? You can actually hit your employer with, I believe this is like 30 years to life in prison. You can actually hit them with sale into involuntary servitude. You can hit them with a lot of things, but this is probably one of the heaviest things you can hit an employer with. An employer is called a withholding agent. That is the actual definition of the term from the IRS. A withholding agent is literally not supposed to make any tax determinations at all. It is highly illegal. It can be considered tax advice. The employer is supposed to process and deposit or transfer or do whatever it is you give them. If you give them a W-9 and then a W-4 and you switch it up a week later, you switch it up again 2 weeks later, you give them a W-8 BEN, you give them this, you give them that. All they're supposed to do is process whatever you give them. And if they don't, it's actually completely illegal and it violates the voluntary system of the tax code, Title 26. Okay. And you can actually complain to the IRS and the IRS will actually physically force them to accept your forms.
Wow. Okay. All right.
That's literally hacking the system. Yep. That's literally hacking the system.
The IRS will help you never, ever pay taxes ever again.
Wow. Now, what about this? Go ahead, Shaban.
I was going to say, this is kind of the common topic I've seen, especially in US. So I was thought, have you already found the solution to it? Or is there something, in the same space, basically. Like the whole concept, like where prenup is legal in certain, like can be, I mean, enforced in certain states and cannot be enforced in certain states, right? In US. So like, is there a way to, like basically bulletproof yourself so that you don't get, like
Well,
destroyed in divorce, essentially?
that's a whole. I mean, I'll go as long as you guys want. My typical show is 2 to 3 hours, but it's up to you. I could care less. I clear out 3 hours for these shows because it's usually how much maximum these can go.
Yeah.
A marriage. Okay, so in America, there's 2 ways to get married. There's getting married in the District of Columbia or getting married outside of the District of Columbia. A marriage license means you're actually creating a business that is located in the District of Columbia. You can get married outside of the District of Columbia. It's very, very simple. All you do is you have a little book at your wedding, and people sign it as witnesses. You take copies of the witness book, each page. You take maybe some photos that are there to prove that the event took place. You write up a little affidavit or event sheet stating I, blah, 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 married, blah, 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 on this date. You can put your vows in there. You can put whatever you want. You put that package together and you send that package to the county recorder, and you pay like $60 or $80 to have that marriage recorded legally. And that's how you get married outside of the District of Columbia. Okay.
What about common law marriage?
That's common law. That's what it is.
But there's, maybe I'm saying the wrong term.
No. There's the whole, if you've been living together for 7 years, that's a statutory. That's actually like a weird hybrid where it's like the District of Columbia is telling you, blah. That's like that may or may not be true. But I mean, the way I look at it is like a clear delineation. This is really what I just explained to you is like a true common law marriage, like true common law marriage, because the county recorder, that's about as common law as it gets. You're telling the government this event took place. You're not asking for permission. A license by definition is the legal definition of the word license is permission to do something that would otherwise be considered not allowable. So you got to think marriage license. Like are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to the government to ask for permission to get fucking married. This is about ready to be 1776 all over again. Hand me my musket, George. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those things where when you think about it, when you think about a marriage license, it's very shocking. And I'll tell you, you want to be really shocked, read a marriage license agreement and clear up all the legal definitions of all the words. You will vomit so hard, you'll lose 15 pounds in one day. It is a horrifying contract. Horrifying contract, right? So you got to think, you can get married in what's called in the private, which means outside of the District of Columbia. And when you do that, the government and the state has absolutely nothing to do with any of your accounts or your affairs. So you wouldn't go through like an estate court or a probate court at all. So there wouldn't be any need for a prenup, because the prenup is the contract that someone uses when they go through the governmental processes. But in a common law, a true private marriage, you're never going to go through any of those processes. The government has absolutely nothing to do with your spiritual union and your sexual union or anything else. Now, another thing that's very interesting, just because I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I just spit facts, like pure 100% facts. You can marry whoever or whatever you want in the private. The government has nothing to do with it. So let's say, for example, I don't even know if Texas makes gay marriage illegal, or even in India. I heard recently they just upheld the fact that gay marriage is considered illegal. In the private, gay marriage is completely legal. The government can't do a fucking thing about it. Right. I could marry 2 dudes, 3 dudes at the same time right now, and there's not a fucking thing the government can do about it. I'm not gay, but I'm just saying, like, if I wanted to marry a fucking street lamp, I could. Seriously.
Okay, so with the involuntary servitude, right?
Yeah.
Like with sales tax, right?
Yeah.
So like if I walk into the gas station, I'm going to buy myself an energy drink or something. Actually, that might not be a good example, but I'm going to buy some whatever. What would they tax you at the gas station.
I mean, energy drinks fine. You pay taxes on energy drinks, sales tax.
Not here, not in Michigan, you know.
Oh wow, okay.
But any like
in California, they gut you like a fish. It's like 10.75%. But anyways,
yeah,
it's everything. California,
like an air freshener. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So you're gonna buy an air freshener for your car. You're at the gas station, right? In Michigan, it's 6 cents on the dollar. So we'll say it's $2 for the air freshener. So it's gonna come out to $2.12. I got $2. So I'm gonna hand the attendant $2 and be like, look, man, I'm not down with involuntary servitude, bitch. You know what I mean?
So you can get out of sales tax super easily. Like in California, there's a bunch of different forms. Most places, I just tell them I'm sales tax exempt, and they literally just take the sales tax right off. And sometimes, a lot of times too, I have a lot of reports. So we get special passports doing all this shit. There's a way you can get what's called a non-citizen national passport. It looks the same as a citizen passport, but you regain all your American rights. It's super powerful. You get diplomatic immunity. It's super crazy, right? Yeah, it's a whole it ties into all this, and it's part of a whole research thing. Anyways, it's a whole nother subject. We can get into that if you want. But to answer your question, a lot of people started giving places and stores their passport number, and the passport number worked when they typed it into the sales tax exemption slot on their computer to get sales tax exemption.
No way.
But it got crazier because people started typing in all types of different numbers all over the fucking passport from all over different. And I started thinking this can't be right. So I started doing tests. If you type literally fucking anything into those boxes, it'll work. You can type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 into the sales tax exemption box. It'll say approved, and it'll take the sales tax off the.
Like, on big purchases, like a car or a boat or something like that.
Yeah. There is no actual, as of right now, I'm sure as this grows, they're probably going to put in some kind of a system, but there is no actual structured system to verify any of this. Wow. And the thing is again, incredible. The way that the government actually works legitimately is that there is no such thing as involuntary servitude. It's completely illegal as per the 13th and the 14th Amendment. So if you say, I do not agree and I do not contract to pay this voluntarily, and you just say, are you attempting to put me into some sort of involuntary servitude contract, they'll back off immediately.
Wow. That's insane. So, I mean, do you know anybody like that's just like, I'm done paying taxes, so I'm just going to do what Brandon said? And
thousands. Now, obviously, like, what I'm doing is huge. I've got a whole page on my website. It's if you go on my website and you go to the top and you go to fan art and submissions, obviously you can see it all on my social media as well. But this is where like a lot of my girls send me feet pics. I'm not even into feet, but it's kind of like a big joke. I'm like, oh, I'm into feet. Like, send me feet pics, right? cucumbers. It's a big joke. It's like a Bill Nye the Science Guy, Beavis and Butthead thing. I told you, right? So this is just success after success. I put a lot of my favorite successes in here. I put like fan art, like people paint me paintings and send it to me. People send me like packages full of cool stuff that I have a whole section of my TV stand here with all my stuff that people send me, all the fan and stuff. So there's tons and tons and tons of these. And then you can also see more on all through my social media and everything else. And there's tons. And now again, you have to properly do this. And what that means is you have to, like, the definition of the word naturalization means you have to actually confer it, which means you have to actually like say it in an official capacity in a way that actually fits the definition. And you have to go back and you have to find all the different areas of where you naturalized into the District of Columbia. And then all you do is you just go in, like, for example, your driver's license. You don't need a driver's license once you get your passport sorted out. Your passport becomes your driver's license. But I was waiting a while for my passport to be processed, and I was like, well, shit, I want to clean up my naturalization there now. In the meanwhile, while my passport's getting worked out. So I went down to the DMV and I filled out a new application, and it says, are you a U.S. citizen? I just clicked no and redid the application, and they issued me a new fucking driver's license. They didn't even ask any questions.
Wow. Okay.
So the thing is I unnaturalized, I expatriated as a U.S. citizen in that particular contract. I naturalized back to the unincorporated United States of America when I did that. I left DC. legally, right?
Okay.
When you do
makes
that,
sense.
when you do that on your passport, you do it on your I-9 form, you do it on your W-8-BEN with your employer and the IRS. There's another form you're going to fill out called the Form 56, which cleans up the fiduciary relationship that you have with the IRS. There's a bunch of different things. All you're doing in all of these different things is you're just explaining and clarifying your nationality. And the thing is that if no one has ever had any problems with this at all, ever, except from the passport office a little bit, right? But it's very, very simple to handle. All you do is you say, as per Article 15, Section 2 of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, are you attempting to arbitrarily deprive me of my nationality, or are you trying to deny me the right to change my nationality? They will back down as if you just put a loaded 50 caliber pistol directly against the palate of their mouth.
That's usually the way I go, but this is probably better.
Yeah. So we're working out all the kinks, and we're working out all the problems, and we're working out how to apply a lot of pressure to employers and payroll companies without having to get into litigation. We are learning a lot about litigation. We are going in the direction of litigation right now. There has been times where, despite putting pressure and complaining to the IRS, we are not able to get compliance. That's probably about 35% of the time right now. We've gotten it down that far, and we're continuing to press that number down. At first it was like 80%. So this is a work in progress. Litigation will be the final nail in the coffin. I will be putting together so I have a whole free course on my website called the Contract Killer Course. It's completely free. It's one video per day for 39 days that explains everything I've been going over in this.
Very cool.
You can click right here. It's completely free. I mean, literally no money, no credit card information, nothing. Just first name, last name, email, boom. That's it, right? Now, it's a long course. It's about 24 hours of material. There's a bunch of other things. For example, on my podcast page, I have all of the guest spots of all the different shows I've been on. Tinfoil Hat is on here. We had a lot of fun on Tinfoil Hat. It's one of my more recent shows. It's a huge monster show. Definitely recommend everyone go and watch that one, probably as one of the first ones to watch. And then if you want something more along a text-based, my State National Theory page, this is actually a living book. And what that means is I come in here and I update it all the time. And as you can see, it is about the size of a book. And I come in here, and whenever my research expand something, or I find some really good case law from a court case, or I find some really good quote that's like simple, easy to understand, that really clarifies some definitions or some area of this, I'd come in here and I update this document quite often. This is obviously free to read because you don't need to do anything to click on it. And at the top of the page, it shows you when the book was last updated right here. It was last updated October 4th. And I will continue to update this. And then also it has the downloads for the different Black's Law dictionaries, different versions that you can download for free. So everything's free. Everything's all put together. And yeah, so, you can come on here and just do whatever you want. It's all free. And then my own personal shows, I have my Facebook, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, and then on my YouTube channel, I have my own show, which I don't do a whole lot of shows on. But then I have my YouTube channel with my own shows and other videos as well. So
that's what's up, man. Like, listen, this is super enlightening, very eye-opening, a lot of dope information. You know what I mean?
I was hoping to get into some inner game stuff with you because we didn't even get into your whole point.
We got to do it again, man. Like we
need like at least a dozen of these.
Usually our episodes go like around an hour, give or take 15 minutes. You know what I mean? So just so my editor isn't like, God damn it. But we definitely got to do this again, bro. You know what I mean? Like next time I'm out,
we need to do like topics, like, today is just inner game. Like, there go 2 hours of inner game.
A lot of this ties into inner game too, because it's sort of like how far can understanding of something go? How much do you think you know about something that you really don't know? How much do you think you know about yourself, but you actually don't know shit about yourself at all? There's a lot of there's a lot of interrelativity. I mean, this is, as far as I'm concerned, studying law is studying life. You're studying the entire historical track of the way that human beings operate. This is a spiritual, what I'm talking about in this podcast is an entirely spiritual adventure. This is you think what I'm going over here is mind blowing. This is just barely scratching the surface.
Wow.
I mean, this is,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
What outside of the website, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you?
Oh, definitely the website. You can
Okay.
submit it's kind of a fun joke, but on the upper right, it says send me a fucking message. And then and you click on it and it has me flicking you off. And it's what makes you think I want to talk to you? The whole thing is like kind of like a antagonism. It's like a fake antagonism.
I get you.
The whole reason why I structured it that way is because most people are in a lot of fear and terror associated with this information, and just vibrationally, antagonism is a good harmonic of fear. So it's actually all based off of harmonics and sound. That's why it's structured that way.
Oh man, we definitely got to chop it up some more. Next time I'm out in LA, man. Actually, I'm gonna be out there in December, but we got to link up, bro.
Yeah, I'm super down. I'd love to.
Yeah, like this was way. I knew it was gonna be deep, but I didn't know it was gonna shit, I'm in China. Like we dug so deep.
You can create your own. You can create Dale Valor, the nation of Dale Valor, and you can have it up and running by today or tomorrow. Literally, that's how crazy this gets.
All right.
You write up your affidavits and you mail them in, and they don't even need to approve it. If someone wants to look up 18 USC 11 is the definition of a foreign government. It literally says in the definition of foreign government that you do not need any approval or anything from the United States to be considered a foreign government legally.
Yeah.
You only have to be at peace. And then normally on these shows, I go and I clear up the legal definition of the word peace. But the legal definition of the word peace basically means the same as nation. It's just internal tranquility and external tranquility delivered on a diplomatic level. So as long as you're doing that, once you naturalize and you confer nationality of the state of Dale Valor upon yourself as a person after birth by any means whatsoever, and you explain that you're at peace and you operate at peace, you are legally a foreign government.
Wow, that's incredible. Man, that's so fucking dope, man.
Now I'm literally, contemplating. I need to find an Indian version of you to
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Make it popular.
It's pretty fucking wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild. This is like the wildest shit ever, bro. That's all I think about.
Man,
literally.
it's nuts, man.
Right.
It's super crazy. But listen, Brandon, again, thank you so much for coming on, bro. Definitely want to do it again. Yeah, man, definitely go to the website, onestupidfuck.com, correct? That's it, right? Okay. Yeah. So check it out. Like everything that we talked about, and I'm sure that there's about a million more things on there that we didn't even scratch the surface on.
Yeah,
no doubt. So listen, thanks again, man. Shabam, I'll see you tomorrow. And that's what's up.
See you guys.
Talk to you guys soon.
Yep. Peace.
Well, man, I know that you got a lot of information out of this particular episode. Listen, if you need to go a little bit deeper, always feel free to reach out to me. Look, there's a few ways you can do that. You can shoot me an email. You can send me a DM. I'm easy to find. But the best place that you can find me is at freegiftfromdale.com. It's in the description of the episode. And you're going to get a couple of free gifts there. You'll get the first chapter of my book, Inner Game. And you will also find an exercise to help you find out about yourself and who you really, truly are at the core. Okay. And listen, if you haven't subscribed to the channel or the podcast, make sure you do so, man. It takes you 1 second to do it. And it means the world to us here. Okay. If you know somebody who could really use this information, feel free to share it, man. Don't hold it to yourself. You know what I mean? So we will see you in the next one.